Sweet Stash is a home-baked business specializing in cake pops, brownies, cakes, and more. Celebrate your special occasions with all of your favorite people. If we're at a party and they have Sweet Stash, I know where Mario will be, by the cake pop stand. To place your orders, check them out on Facebook or Instagram.
Are you all ready to up your drinking game? Absinthe Minded AZ is a pretty freaking amazing and super rare company. Absinthe is truly an acquired taste type of drink. People like Picasso, Hemingway, and Van Gogh were known to throw back a few. I mean, The Raven may have never been written if Edgar Allan Poe wasn't drinking this stuff, who, by the way, was an artilleryman in the United States Army. Go Redlegs. This misunderstood spirit became legal again in the United States in 2007, and now you can try it for yourself here in AZ. Plus, co-owners Doc Ordovich and Justin Slusher are pretty cool dudes. Absinthe Minded is produced with 100% natural herbs based off of traditional formulations, with variations to accommodate the palates of the modern drinker. Pour, sip, and enjoy. So, if you want to find out more about this amazing company, go to their Facebook page or absinthemindedaz.com. And their Instagram page is pretty dope.
Falcon Base, this is Tower 3, over. Tower 3, this is Falcon Base, go ahead, over. Falcon Base, Tower 3 is up, over. Tower 3, so what's on the agenda for tonight, fellas? Bigfoot, aliens? See who can win between a silverback and 5 guys with primitive weapons? Over. Wherever our minds take us, over. Whatever, just make sure you stay vigilant. Over. Our eyes and our minds are always open. Now welcome to another episode of Tales from the Guard Tower. Tower 3, over and out.
Fallen! All right. Everybody take a seat, grab a drink. Let's get this show started. Bleep, bloop, blop, blop, bleep, bloop, bleep, bleep. Blop, blop, bleep, 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 bloop.
What are you doing?
That's the intro in Alienese.
Where did you learn Alienese?
It's a long, complicated story.
When you were probed?
Maybe.
Did they teach it to you?
Can't talk about that.
Oh,
Cannot
you've been
talk about
probed by aliens.
They said 1, 2, 3, here we come, and they did.
Oh,
and
Lord.
So that's the only countdown. That's the only language I know, because they did it so much that I remembered the bleep bleep bloop.
They would count
bleep
down.
blop bloop beep bloop, and so that's the only. To be honest, it's the only alienese that I know.
And then you scream because you got probed.
After a while, you get used to it, so you don't scream
like
anymore. You kind of
oh Lord,
go for the ride. What are we talking about?
We're talking about
Why am I talking in alienese?
that the aliens could come and they could pick any place in the world, and they picked Arizona.
First of all, welcome back to another episode of Tales from the Guard Tower.
Yes.
And yes, this is exactly the kind of stupid shit you would talk about in a guard tower for 12 hours, 14 hours, whatever. These are the things. And so this is the perfect example of something that we kind of know about. Maybe you know a little bit more than I do because you've been reading for an extra 10 minutes longer than I have. But what I'm trying to say is that sometimes on the show, we try to get to really dive deep into some of these events or stories, you know, and the truth is that when you are sitting in a guard tower, you're literally just sitting around talking about what you know or think you know about a certain subject, right?
Yeah, and you can't be looking it up.
You don't have to be an expert, yeah.
It's all like just opinion.
So we're trying to make it more real and, to be honest, a little bit easier on ourselves. But this is going to be a good one. We're talking about the Phoenix Lights today. Mm-hmm. And so that's why we kind of didn't dive too deep into it, because we've heard a lot. Being from Arizona, we've seen there's been a lot of shows on it. It's been on, the story itself has been on a lot of TV shows. So we think we got this one.
My first question is, we all know, if you talk to you for 5 minutes, how much you love Texas.
Talking about me?
Yeah.
Okay.
But for some reason, you came to Arizona. Is that because you were looking for some more probe?
Some more probing?
Yes, you want some more probe. You're like,
why are Arizonans into that or what?
no, because the aliens, they come here.
Come on, Crystal. Let's not talk about. You talk Mexican?
Listen, I cannot.
Listen, Trump
I'm not.
Jr. Listen,
Oh
Trump
my.
Jr. All that are
No.
they're only sending their rapist. Is that what you're saying?
Oh my God! You're the one that said you learned how to speak alien by being probed.
From people from outer space.
Yes,
Little
that's
green
what I'm
men.
saying. And so you came to Arizona.
You're talking about the border, Arizona,
No,
Mexicans.
you were sitting.
pretty-
Don't you?
Your kids are half Mexican, Crystal.
That is not what I meant, and you damn well know.
I think we're done.
You're horrible.
All right, I'm gonna forgive you for that. Let's move on. Now I'm talking about aliens from outer space.
The Phoenix Lights,
The Phoenix Lights.
sometimes called the lights over Phoenix.
I know you were joking. I know what you were saying.
Yes,
I just wanted to make that clear.
you were excited about you heard about Arizona, that they're visiting Arizona, and you're like, I want to get my probe on.
Here's the thing. I know what you're trying to say. You're at the end of the day, you're trying to say Arizona's better than Texas. So I get it. Let's just skip right into the meat and potatoes of what you're trying to say. And you're saying I'm here because I love Arizona more. That's not true. You're also implying that I moved here because there's more aliens in Arizona, is what you're trying to say. That you're a cooler state, like the aliens picked Arizona over any other state. I know that's what you're trying to do.
But you're also
the reality is
excited
that
about the probing.
we're talking about one event that happened in Arizona and was like freaking out. This kind of stuff happens on a daily in Texas. Okay,
on the daily.
They don't call it the Texas Lights, because if that was the case, they'd be like, that's every night.
Oh.
We experience what you guys experienced once. You guys
all
are
we wanted to do was sit here and learn.
and we're gonna learn
share.
today. We're gonna learn today. Let me teach you. Number one lesson: Texas is better.
How did this?
I'm only here because of my
ransacked
children's. I'm only here because of my children's and my relations with women's that I am starting to regret.
Oh my God! This turned ugly.
Listen, I may or may not be up here with the aliens, if you know what I'm talking about. So out in outer space right now. So it's gonna be an interesting show.
Yes.
It's gonna be an interesting show. I'm up there.
Well, now everyone's like, okay.
I'm talking from outer space. You're talking from down to earth in
If
Arizona, in your little state, Arizona.
If you were a normal human being.
By the way, if you're from Arizona, I love Arizona. I'm joking around. If you're from Texas, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh my gosh. How did you make this whole thing about you and Texas? When all I'm saying is that in 1997, on March 13th, people before, like this isn't like hashtag where one person catches on to it and then it becomes viral.
Yeah.
This is people from all over Arizona pulling their cars over, using pay phones to report what they're seeing because it's so fucking weird. Like, it was crazy.
So in order for this to have caught on the way it did at that moment, it meant that a significant amount of people had to witness it in real time, not through video or shared by somebody else. So I agree with that, because here's the thing. When I was talking about Texas having all these sightings, Arizona does too. Yeah. Arizona has tons of. Arizona is one of the highest states for paranormal activity when it comes to aliens, right? Mm-hmm. So let's just be clear with that. So and a lot of these, like New Mexico, Nevada, that which, by the way, this phenomena that we're talking about was also witnessed by people in Nevada and in Sonora, right? Just across, it's a state across the border from us, from Arizona, just south of Arizona. That's the Mexican state of Sonora. They also witnessed it there. So now you're talking about multi-states and in two different nations. Yeah. 2 different countries. Right?
Oh, see, that just adds to it.
Because, let's get into it. Because a lot of the people, well, not a lot, the government was trying to say that it was they were testing one of their what do you call it? new or modern airplanes.
An A-10
Well,
Warthog.
that's not a new. That's a different one. So then there was the one that involved the A-10 Warthog. They were saying that those were flares shot out by an A-10 Warthog, which was in over Tucson, which that's where that air base is. That's where they fly. That was what McSally flew. Remember?
Yes.
Now they're going to tell us, it's McSally's going to come out. They're like, we're going to promise you a seat on the table if you just come out and say that you were the one flying that A-10 Warthog. So
she's going to make it somehow.
I know.
No
So somehow, if she comes out and says that. No. But so that was one of the tales that they were claiming those lights were flares from an A-10 Warthog in training. But how do you explain that A-10 also being in Nevada and in Mexico? Like
there's two different.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Like that's one of the ones. One you're saying. The one I was talking about originally is leading to the stealth bomber. Because it looks like so many people also believed that it could have been them testing out the stealth bomber. Because if you look at it, right, and I know you're gonna get into right now a description, because I see you got your notes, but it looked like a V, yeah. And the stealth bomber when it came out, it not necessarily a V, but that triangle.
Yeah.
You know, which and also remember they were testing out new technology where it could avoid radar detection, things like that. So who knows what other kind of screening technology it had to where maybe all they saw were these V lights. But it fits the description of the stealth bomber that came out in the 90s. Right? Remember during the Desert Storm was what I think when we brought them out. So who knows what's out here? There's a lot of testing grounds out in Arizona. So that was the other one. But I'm sure there were even more responses. But those are just the ones from the military or some of the official responses we got. None of them said that they didn't know. None of them said, "Oh, you're right. It was something unknown." None of them said that.
But no one has really explained. They just said, "Oh, it could have been that."
Right.
But for that first event, so what you had two major events going on. The first event was these lights that, like you said, were in a V formation. People started seeing them in Prescott Valley. That's 45 minutes to an hour outside of Phoenix.
Right.
And then you could just see as they were coming, as it was moving.
Not close to Tucson, by the way.
Which
is one of the claims from the A-10, right? We're like
that's not close.
Yeah.
And then and Tucson is what, an hour and a half to 2 hours south of Phoenix?
Yeah, southeast, yeah.
So, and then the timelines of when Bubba was calling in was following as they were moving. So that's why it's so suspicious, is because there were thousands of people who saw it, unfortunately, and there was a lot of photos.
Yeah, there
and
are some videos.
But the technology of 1997, at this point, if something like that happened, we would get good. Everyone has their camera. But at that time, there wasn't a lot, so there was no one caught it. And it wasn't actually that big of a deal. You had said, like, oh, do you remember it? And I vaguely remember it because the news talked about it, and I remember the news talking about it, but it was a one-dayer. It was not this big thing. It's just, it was a one-dayer, and I think most people assumed there was going to be an answer.
Yeah.
But there was no answer.
There was an answer.
Oh, you're right.
Because one of the witnesses was the governor.
Yes. So this is...
How do you say his name? Fife?
Fife Symington.
The way you say five in the military.
Yeah, Fife. Yeah. So that is what made it so credible, is that you have the governor of Arizona literally reporting and saying,
admitting that he saw.
It's not Bubba, it's not Norma Jean, it's not these fringe people that all got together and are playing off each other. This is like the governor.
Yeah, and also admitting that there was nothing he authorized, at least, like flyovers, anything like that, or any coordination with the federal government either, to where if there was some big event like that, his office would have been notified about, right? So he also claimed that, while he didn't say that it's not true, that it wasn't government caused, he's just said is not that I'm aware of. There was nothing
Yeah.
that I was aware of planned on that day to fly over my city, my state,
Yeah.
it's the governor. They would know, or his office would know,
Yeah.
Something.
And he says that because he came out, like he's been in documentaries, like he's a believer.
Yeah.
He is a believer.
He saw
And he
it.
said that he contacted the Air Force down in
Tucson, yeah.
and he contacted the general of the National Guard. Like he's like, what is this? And nobody had any information for him. And like we said, he's the governor. Like he could have top secret clearance, like
Yeah.
like people could be like, blah, blah, blah. He did do a funny thing. He was a fun character. He had to leave office because he was trying to make money,
Damn.
naughty money, but it wasn't a dead prostitute.
Yeah.
So you get credit.
What's naughty money? Like from
it
just
was,
illegal deals, or like you're not talking about like drugs and prostitution?
It was like I think loans, like
like
that,
a scam. It
like
was
white
kind of-
collar. Like he
yeah.
went to prison for it, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he went to prison, so he
Ugh,
had to.
that hurts his credibility a little bit
You know what?
with the alien thing.
Yeah, I mean,
Because don't you think that sounds like an opportunistic to me?
that he came out and
Well, I'm saying if you're talking about he did all these shady things and even went to jail for it,
Mm-hmm.
he was looking for opportunities to make more money or grow his brand or something. And now
Maybe.
that, for me, that kind of ruins his credibility.
Oh,
because
but-
he's still trying to find a niche.
I know, but he also seemed kind of like an everyday guy because when he got out of prison, he went to the Cordon Bleu.
Oh, really? The
yeah,
school?
the school to
But
be a chef.
Don't you think that? I
So-
mean, an everyday guy could be an opportunistic guy too.
Yeah, but I kind of feel with him, he had a funny sense of humor. I think he got where he was because he had a fun personality, and like he was like
Yeah.
a lot of people like would have said no, I didn't see anything because they're like serious. But he was more like willing to say that because he wasn't a governor, and I don't think he was like had real money. So he probably got caught up doing something.
Yeah.
Because poor people like new money. We'll say new money.
Poor people.
No, I'm saying like new money seems to be like the ones that get caught doing shady things. If your family has always had money, they've already
The scam was established,
Long
200 years
ago,
ago.
and they know the ins and
'cause They
outs.
all scammed. Every rich person scammed somebody
Yes.
to get to where they were. Steve Jobs. I'm just saying, like
and
all
they've
these,
learned along the way how to
how to manipulate
like don't
the system.
do that.
Yeah.
Like everyone, Microsoft,
Amazon, yeah.
Facebook, they've all had their scandals.
Yeah. Bill Gates had his
Yes.
scam. They all, which leads me to believe is like when our big break is going to be like the minute I find a scam that I can get away with, and then up our level, and then once we ride that wave and we survive that, then you
Yeah.
stop the scam, just like the mafia, right? You do illegal shit until you try to get as legit as possible, so then
Yes.
by that time all your books are good, everything else and everything you did, you got away with it. You're
Yeah.
legit,
I
and
think that-
the government, that's why the mafia gets so pissed. They're like, dude, the government does the same fucking thing
Yeah.
until they're legit. They're gonna scam somebody, or everybody,
Yes.
and then they become legit, and you're like, okay, no more scamming, no more nothing. We're got
gonna
the
be
money.
good
We're
now.
here now. We follow the laws, and that's how you do it.
Yeah, so I
Sorry.
kind of feel like that's him. Like he
Yeah,
was
but
legit,
and that's fine.
and-
That's
and-
fine as a regular human. But what I'm saying is that then you kind of lose that credibility because you don't know where that could be the scam. That
could
he's a
be the
believer,
scam.
and now he's like you're a believer in him, in Fife. And so
Mm-hmm.
if he comes back now with social media, like right now would be the perfect time to strike for this guy,
Mm-hmm.
to have his own podcast, to have his own thing. And maybe he does. We need to look him up. Maybe he's doing
Oh,
some cool shit.
yeah.
But right now, if he was an opportunistic guy, this would be the time for him to come up and thrive and do his thing and be like, remember, I was the crazy governor that saw this and believed in, and also did some wacky press conferences.
He was also that's the funniest thing.
You want to talk about that before we get into this new thing, so we can, when he did the press conference. I
So
know you love that.
a couple days after the sighting, and it started to get more media, he did a press conference, and he's like, we found the culprit, and in walks someone in an alien costume. And it was like shocking because that was before people were funny.
Yeah.
That's the thing about him is he was funny before
When you had to still
you
be
had to
serious,
be very
yeah.
serious and governing as
Right.
serious. And he was silly
Well,
back then.
Kind of is.
I mean, it is.
Kind
It
of
is.
is. A little
But
bit.
like Ducey got in trouble. The one time Ducey went off point, he got in a lot of trouble because he got so excited about, remember the freeway shooter?
Yeah. Oh, that's
And he's
right.
like, got him.
and they didn't get him.
And I will, to this day.
What happened? They never got him.
No.
Because the guy that got was not the guy, right?
No, and remember that night when they first said his name, I went on his Facebook
Yeah.
and I got to see his Facebook and
Before
I said,
it got shut down.
This guy did not do it.
Yeah.
Because he was hillbilly. He was hillbilly. But the conversations between him and his dad were so sweet that you're like,
Yeah,
no,
there's no way
There's
this guy-
no way that did.
He
I
did,
was,
and then
I
then
said
later
it.
on, like that same day or that night or the next day, it was shut down, wasn't it? His Facebook
Oh
page?
yeah, it was like within hours it
Yeah.
was shut down. But I got to see his whole like scroll
Right
past,
away.
and I was like, nope, that
Should've
boy
friended
did
him.
not. I should have, but that boy did not do it. And then
And he
I was
did it.
right
And
because
did they ever? I don't.
oh, he got a shit ton of money.
But the person
All
that
because of Ducey.
they never found the actual shooter, did they? I
I don't
can't remember.
think they did.
It's so weird that it just kind of went away, and
yeah.
we just forgot. Because I remembered the other day, so it's
We
funny you
need to
mention
see
it.
that. We need to look it up and see where it is.
On your next Tales from the Guard Tower.
Well, Fife Simonton, what
Yeah, go back to him.
interesting about him is that he did serve in the Air Force and he was a pilot. So he's like, so he even said, he goes, I'm a pilot.
Yeah.
That was not a fucking airplane.
Right.
So does he get a little bit of credibility back?
No.
No?
It-
Why?
It just makes him even more capable of making a lie.
Oh, because he's a veteran?
No, and again, and also a pilot, like he knows the verbiage.
Mm-hmm.
He knows what to say to make himself sound more credible on something that he didn't witness. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So just because you're knowledgeable of something doesn't make you more credible when you tell a story. It just makes it easier for you to lie, I think. Am I looking at this too negative? But
You're right.
Experts,
You're right.
experts are better liars when it comes to their field. Because you're gonna question an expert? You know what I mean? If you're not an expert,
Wow. That's
What?
true. I got kind of when going down this rabbit hole.
Uh-oh, you're looking him up, huh?
Simonton. Did you know? So he came from a prominent family, but do you know that he saved a 19-year-old Clinton from drowning?
Clinton,
Clinton.
like
Yes.
from the Clinton family.
The
Wait,
Bill Clinton.
He saved Bill Clinton
Yes.
when he was 19 years old.
Yes.
When Bill
during
was 19.
college. At 19 years old, Simonton rescued an intoxicated 19-year-old Clinton.
Fife's an intoxicated Bill Clinton, huh?
Mm-hmm. So, because they were buddies together.
No.
Yes. And so it's so interesting.
Wait, but was this guy Republican?
Yeah, he was Republican.
Fife Simonton saved
and he
Bill
wa-
Clinton.
yes.
We need to do a show on Fife. Where's Fife now? Okay, keep going.
That's what I want to know. This is so crazy. It's like a wormhole. But in 1967, he served in the Air Force during the Vietnam War.
So he
and
was older than-
Yeah. No, they were the same age. Bill Clinton.
Were they?
Yeah.
Bill Clinton was old enough to be in the. Oh, but he ran, right?
Yeah.
Didn't he
yeah.
escape
He
somewhere?
was.
Didn't he-
He was one of those.
He ran.
So
I forgot.
Simon
That's crazy.
was stationed at Luke Air Force Base, fell in love with Arizona, and then he stayed. And
Probably fell in love with a little senorita.
yes,
Had a little margarita.
and started a savings and loan association.
Made a little loverita.
Yeah. So
Man.
that's when the problem started.
But he saved him.
But think about it. If he hadn't gotten kicked out, he might have
What?
went farther.
Yeah.
He was hanging out
What
with
is he doing now?
Good question.
Maybe he's part of the.
Post governorship, they talk about the Culinary Institute
Oh.
when he was free on appeal.
So he could be working at the macaroni grill.
Because he said he would rather be a chef than making money.
Oh, what does that say about chefs?
Aww.
Imagine Imagine that. He said that before he was a chef, and I was like, why you motherfucker? Tell that to Gordon Ramsay. Tell that to Guy Fieri.
Oh, yes.
Well, we're talking about a very few, though. But I understand what he's saying. For the most part, I think it's like the NFL. Most people are not going to make it to that level. So, yes, being a chef is very, very hard work. I've actually worked with chefs. I've cooked. I've done everything there is to do in the kitchen and in a restaurant. Every job, from washing dishes to cooking to prepping food to serving, to managing, all that. Anyways, so I know how hard, and I've worked in catering halls when they have to make food for 1,000 people. The coordination, the sweat that goes into, those are the guys that have to show up first before anybody else. And the pay, while to a young kid who's single might be great, you can't sustain a family with that, right?
Yeah.
Especially at the beginning. So I understand
That's
what he's trying to
tough.
say. I understand what he's trying to say.
So, yeah, he's an interesting person. So I don't know. 1 minute you were like,
And
the
he's a veteran too.
And he's a veteran. So doesn't that give more credence? Or is he full of malarkey?
Yeah,
Is he got his own guard tower?
He got.
Is
yeah.
this his own guard tower?
Yeah, he got there by doing the same thing he did doing, getting caught,
Yeah.
trying to scam his way all the way to the top, and it worked. Just kidding. I don't know. Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't. But that whole scam thing kind of sucks. If it even was a scam, I don't even know exactly what he did, because it may have been something where his name was associated to a business and, paperwork was filed incorrectly. Maybe taxes weren't paid. I don't know. Maybe the people that were running it were doing shady stuff and he was still involved with them. So it might not be his fault at all. It might be being a dick for no reason. Or he may have been directly involved in it.
I got another tip about him that I know is going to make you, for some people, it would give him credence.
Yes.
For you, you'll be like, nope.
Even more
I'm
proof that
out.
he's a BSing.
He's an ordained deacon in the Episcopal Church. And I know when you get your religion, you don't like it.
Yeah, he's used to telling tall tales. And so that came easy to him.
Horrible.
Right? So, that you're right. Absolutely. That just makes it, this guy who's look at that. He's grasping. He's looking for careers. And I'd like to talk to the guy. I hope he doesn't hear this episode because I'm ragging on him. But,
I know.
But honestly, I don't know. He could be an amazing dude who just loves to do different shit. I'm weird like that.
Yeah.
I have a lot of things that I'm technically an ordained minister.
Yes.
By paperwork, right? Just because I had to marry a Spanish-speaking couple only.
Yes.
And you're one too.
Yes.
Just because you've married half your family.
To the other half.
You're not doing it
Yeah,
for this.
on Friday.
Are you doing it also
On
on
Friday.
Friday? So
Yes.
again, you're doing
Yes.
it. So anyway, and you have a food truck that's a part-time business, and then you have your job, and I have my job, and then we have the podcast. So yes, I understand being one of these type of people. I've never gone to jail though, or prison for something of that magnitude.
Yes.
And so that's the difference, right? So that's the only thing that's throwing me off. So if I'm wrong about you, Fife, then I apologize. But I just have this gut feeling that, I don't know, you're kind of looking for the next challenge, right? I know a lot of people like that. And I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm not saying you're a bad person. I'm just saying when it comes to the alien thing, I say, shit or get off the pot. Go all in, make some money, get on YouTube, become a crazy ex-governor that had the alien on a press conference, right? And make some money off of that and make me and entertain me, or stop completely. So stop with the BSing. Stop with the BSing. Stop the lies. Just pick a fucking career and stick with it, right? So it's either one of those two. Either way, I love you and I'd like to talk to you.
I know. He sounds a little bit crazy. He's very yes. So I think it's really interesting.
We're good.
It's just really interesting because I'm going to hold strong that this first event, the V, I think that was legit something out of this world. Now, the second stuff that they started seeing was...
on the same day.
On the same day, the second event was the set of 9 lights appearing to hover over the city of Phoenix. I know. What did you? Oh,
I couldn't say Barbados.
Yeah,
I was
like
reading
Barbados.
Barbado.
And that one was
So that brings up a good point, actually,
Yeah.
because I have thought about this before.
Okay.
Because, like I said, I didn't have to research this much because, one, it's kind of known here in Arizona.
Yeah.
Two, I've read about some weird shit in the past for years. Since
Yes.
I was a little kid, I was interested in weird shit, right? So at some point, I ran into this, and I've given it a lot of thought throughout the years. Part of it is what you just reminded me about, is that the first part was legit when you saw that V or triangle shaped object. And two is the secondary set of lights, which is really what we're known. It's why it's called the Phoenix lights, because of all those lights just seemed a little
Yeah.
awkward, even though I don't think the Phoenix V would have been as popular,
Yes.
It may have been popular with some people, but the Phoenix V may have not been as appropriate of a name as the Phoenix Lights.
Yes.
But you're right, the Phoenix Lights, to me, seems more of a probing by the U.S. government into what they saw just a few hours before.
Yes.
So the Phoenix Lights could be explained by
Yes.
flares
They said
off
it
on the
was
A10
flares, yes.
or jets, or even new technology that we had not yet witnessed, or not really. Even though we see it on the news, the stealth bombers at the time, not many people had seen them live, and so they don't know what they look like, and so those lights could have been these bombers, these A10 Warthogs, whatever the case might be, flares, whatever. That could be explained through those. But that first original one is hard to explain. The size of it, too. Let's not, unless the stealth bomber had grown by like 5, times 5, because that's roughly the size that people claim that this thing, took up in the sky. That's not something that we have ever unveiled.
Yes. Another fun fact for you, my friend, that a 1997 Phoenix City councilwoman launched an investigation into the event. She said they spoke with 700 witnesses. The government never interviewed even one of them.
I wonder why. Because even if you're trying to cover up something, you'd still want to know what they know.
I think they didn't want to give them because
Any credibility?
yeah, like maybe they know, because now we
or,
know.
Or the government, you're right, did know.
They knew.
what it
They're
was.
like, we know it. We don't need Bubba
By
to
the way,
tell us.
what do you call them?
What?
Those like lights and anything in the sky like that.
UFOs.
UFOs. That's incorrect now, ma'am.
Oh.
That is incorrect now.
Is that,
It is old.
has it been canceled?
Yeah, it's UAPs now.
UAP.
Unexplained aerial phenomenons.
You can't say UAP
Yes.
because a 5-year-old's going to hear that. UAPP.
Yeah, well,
When I hear
this
things
is
like
for
that,
mature people only. So
when I hear that, I'm like,
yeah, no,
every
but
kid,
seriously,
you can't teach that
so the
in
government,
third grade.
the government's trying to get away because UFOs has this. Because even though UFO stands for what, unidentified flying object, that's all that means. It's unidentified. It means that it could be in other countries.
don't know
It could
what
be,
it is.
it could be a bird, whatever. And so, but now people automatically assume that UFO is just an alien.
Yeah.
An alien ship, right? So that's why they changed it to unexplained. But people are dumb. No matter UAP in 50 years is gonna. There are people like, well, we don't call it that. And then when we really do find aliens, they're gonna be like, oh, we don't like that. We don't identify as an unexplained aerial phenomena. But either way, for now, that's the term.
Oh, okay.
That's what the
I'll
government's
do
trying to
better.
tell people. Yeah. So
It's all-
not to confuse the dumb people out there who can't tell the difference between an alien ship and a bird. You know what I mean?
Well, I think this is interesting, and I love that it happened here in Arizona, that we get the rights to one of the most credible
For the largest, yeah. So there's new information now though.
Yes.
Now this guy, Lieutenant Fravor, I think it's Fravor, he's the guy that I think in the early 2000s. So it wasn't long after this. It's before, because you said the Phoenix Lights happened again in 2007, 2008.
Yeah,
right?
but the military came real quick and said, nope, it was us. Leave us alone.
Of course they did, yeah. And but that was that was similar to what happened in 97.
Yeah.
Now, Lieutenant Fravor, I believe this happened in 2003, 2004. And the footage just got leaked a few years ago.
Yeah.
Including his, because he's retired now, he had a few interviews, including on the Joe Rogan show, which that, I know you're like, well, let's just Joe Rogan show. But yeah, but he reaches a bigger audience than any real news network nowadays, right? So the story just blew up even more because he talks about these aerial phenomena, unexplained aerial phenomena. And this is coming from an actual pilot while on a mission who sees this and is also using his technology from his airplane, from his jet,
Yes.
to track it and watching it go from 80,000 feet to 10,000 feet within seconds, which is impossible and would kill a human if the machine even was capable of doing it. That means that it must, if it's real and it's accurate, what what his tools told him, that means that it had to have been a drone
Yeah.
of some sort. Now, that's assuming that this is Earth technology.
Yes.
Assuming this is Earth technology. Because now, I never said it was alien technology, right? It's just, remember, it's a UAP, right? Now, if you think it's alien technology, then that's scary to think that there's actual aliens flying these things, because then what does that mean about them, about their physiology, that they are able to take these kind of G-forces, right? Or have they also created a special suit that will allow them to fly, right? Or is it a probing vehicle, essentially a drone, an alien drone though, right? So there's all kinds of different options here, right? It's either human technology, which to me is just as scary, because if it's not hard technology,
Yeah.
and it's another country's technology,
That's
think of the
fucking scarier.
right? Think of their capabilities.
Yes.
That to me is almost scarier.
Yeah.
With aliens, you don't know, because you don't know if they're coming here to probe us. You don't know if they're coming here
Yeah,
to.
like, are they really, like, when we go to Mars?
Or are they just looking around, just exploring?
Yeah.
Or are they really starting? And that's why I say it's almost just as scary if it's another country, if not scarier. If it's another country's technology, because that means we're far behind, and ooh, that's scary.
That's scary.
Its capabilities, right?
Because we know that humans are assholes.
And yeah.
So the aliens might be nice if they show up here, but we know that humans are assholes when we start,
already know.
When we're at war.
When we're,
we will do the worst to the worst.
The minute we get an upper hand on somebody.
Yes.
So
that's
Lieutenant
why
Fravor, the reason why he's credible. I know that Fife Simonton was also in the military and a pilot, but this guy actually has footage, right? Because his airplane recorded it, and the footage has been released a few years ago. Like I said, it looks like a little flying tic tac. It really just does, and it just kind of shakes around. It just shakes. It makes these weird moves that he was like never seen that in any kind of technology. That the United States has, at least. And he said the same thing. He goes, it'd be scarier to think that this is technology from China or some other country, right? That is not our partner. And so that's why for me that was some of the most some of the best evidence of UFOs or UAPs, excuse me, technology, being recorded or even talked about. So for me, that's it right there. But that didn't happen because it just came out, so we think it's sooner, but it happened in early 2000s, which was not long after the Phoenix Lights.
Yeah.
So maybe they were very active then, and maybe every 20, 30 years they probe the Earth for a few years, then they go back home, report everything, and then they come back, and every year they get a little bit stronger and bigger and stay here longer and probe us more and look, if you were the enemy and you were trying to invade a country, who do you send first, right?
Yeah.
Your scouts, right?
Yeah.
Your special forces people just look for shit. Look for shit, look for the terrain, map it out, look at, what do they do? Maybe probe them a little bit, see what they do. If you make moves here, if they see lights over there, how do they react? How does their media react? I mean, you'd look at all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so you got to think, I'm like, are they prepping for something, 30 years ago? So that's the kind of shit I fucking stay up late thinking about. So if you want an insight into my brain, that's what I'm thinking about. But I just mentioned that because you mentioned the Arizona lights was probably one of the biggest evidence of alien life. But I think it comes in second to Lieutenant Favor's video and testimony.
That's true.
But not far apart. I think if it's real, then I think they're linked.
What if the aliens got here and said, gross? We're not slumming it on Earth.
We'd be insulted. Like,
they'd be like, they came. That's why they never come back.
You guys are the Jersey to our universe.
No one wants to go here. Okay. Gross.
We're just one. The Earth is just one giant walking fucking reality show.
Yeah. They're like,
the aliens are like, ew, another episode of Earth.
You're Mesa.
Oh, I can't believe you're watching that stupid show called that reality show Earth.
They're just trash bags.
But
okay?
it's just fun. It's just fun to see what like
you can't write this stuff.
You couldn't write this, yeah. They're watching Earth.
Oh my gosh.
Last question before we go.
Okay.
Are you a believer
I'm a believer.
in aliens?
Yeah.
They're out there?
Of course. Like, what's the chances that there's not, this didn't happen somewhere else?
Yeah.
And they definitely could be looking different. They could be way advanced. I mean, of course, if they're making it here, they could be advanced. But they might only be like 20 years advanced. Or they could be way, way advanced.
I don't think you could be here and live undiscoverable if you're only 20 years advanced, right? That means that in 20 years, I don't think we would be where these guys are now. Like in 97 or in 2003, 2004, when these things happened, that technology, like it's almost 20 years later and we're not even close to what we saw 20 years ago. So that's what I'm saying.
That's
like
true.
I appreciate that, but I think you're right when you say hundreds, if not thousands of years ahead of us. I would believe that more than closer, 20, 30 years apart.
I don't know. What if they spent all their time, like they were like, their Kennedy got them so pumped up that all they did was explore the space, and then they didn't work on important
Anything
things
else?
like social media. So they have like no social media. So they're just like, yeah, we got here, and they're like, they want to steal our ideas because they're like, do you know what they have this thing where you can put a paper into a machine and then it takes a picture of that paper and sends it across.
So like they don't know.
Fax machines.
Here's the thing: when a country, or a community, puts all these efforts into, I'm not gonna call it war efforts, right? But you're prepping essentially like to go out there and explore and all that stuff. That's part of exploring and eventually, because unfortunately we're humans, eventually probably some type of war. It always leads to that, right? Or some type of conflict. Let's just say conflict, right? So when you do that, though, what happens? You do have other technology, because same thing happens with us. When there's a big war, during the Civil War, there were medical advancements on how to amputate, right?
Yeah.
And so on accident, because you focus so much on creating this path, all these little things come from that, right? And so, so if they were, like you said, so focused on creating these ships or to explore the rest of the universe, then all the little things as they're creating this thing, they're inventing other little things, right? So like a fax machine would they might have even skipped a fax machine. They may have never even invented it, and they got to a point where like, well, we need some type of communication skills between the ship and this and that, and that said, well, if we can do it between now and in 2 light years away, then we can definitely create this awesome communication thing that's like 1,000 times better than our iPhones,
Yeah.
And they created it on accident. They weren't focusing on that, but you see what I'm saying?
So
they
who
would.
knows?
So they would have those little side pieces, and everything we have. You're right. They might be interested because like they never saw it because they put so much focus into one thing.
Because they think we're stupid.
Think about it. Cell phones have not been around.
No, they have not.
Not smartphones. I should say
have
smartphones.
Not been around.
You're
right.
Not 20 years, right?
Yeah.
So
it's like crazy, and it's so interesting that what if the aliens got here and they're like, these people waste so much time. Like they could be exploring space and they're inventing.
So you're saying Trump was right?
Why?
Because he created the Space Force.
Oh, yeah.
He wanted to explore.
Yes. So maybe so, because
defend.
there's so many things that they're like, oh my gosh, these people are obsessed with these tumbler cups, like these flasks and all of this technology to keep things cold.
Look at.
Just go into space.
Go,
like
go
you
explore.
could, you could do all this stuff.
Ah, you're right.
So I want to hear what they have to say about what we did. Just like when you were at our level, what were you guys working on? And they're like, it sure the fuck was not like all that shit on Etsy.
Yeah. So I asked you if you were a believer, and your answer was very clear.
Yes.
Definite yes. I am too.
Aww.
I am too. I think it's too big of a universe for us to be alone, right? I've played around with the idea that these could be us in the future, coming back, to kind of warn or
would make me happy.
Or scope ourselves out. But I don't know. If I had to guess, I would say that it's not us in the future. I would say it is alien technology from further away, right?
Humans would be that narcissistic.
We go back and look
that they're like that they have all this technology and like they could go and like do all these crazy things, but again they're like, no, let's go back, like Throwback Thursday,
and scare.
And just see what we were doing. Like it's like two people. It's like they were supposed to come back here.
They're not going to stop Hitler.
Us.
They're not going to stop Hitler or any other bad things
They're
from happening. They're just going to troll.
Dude,
they just turn into universal trolls. Time traveling trolls.
Yes, that's what humans would do.
Triple T, time traveling troll. Dude, I should.
That's a movie.
That's a movie.
That is a movie.
That's a comic book turned into a movie. A comic book series.
There you go.
Time traveling trolls. You heard it here first.
I love it.
All right. Well, with that, I think it is time to close because we talked more about Fife Simonton. We talked more about our theories than the actual Phoenix Lights. But hey, we never claim to be experts and tell you facts. We're just here to have fun and talk about the stories that interest you.
And waste time until our shift is up.
And I think it's time, guys.
Let's go.
Bleep, bloop, blah, bleep, bloop. That's for
Don't you talk to me like that.
Crystal Illegal Alien Reedy. I'm speaking about the border outside the wire. Aguirre.
Bye.
Save the pangolins. They're not aliens. They
No.
just look like aliens, but save the penguins. Bye.
Yes.